Hey, what's up? I'll just jump right into this. I'm on a laptop, and it's not allowing me to do the screen share. It only allows me to share the entire screen. If anybody is listening to me or has some suggestion to fix that, I don't know why it's not doing that. But I'm showing you my whole screen, so you're going to see it kind of like a loop of my silly looking face. So let me put that in the corner, stretch this out. What kind of will make it work? I'm going to keep this short and sweet. I've been waiting for the sell-off for quite some time. And yesterday, as we milked that short as best as humanly possible, the levels from yesterday were vital today, because a big part of what you do as a day trader or any trader is momentum. Momentum on the way up, very difficult to stop. So as momentum was described to me when I was a kid, my mentor Isaac explained it to me as an oil tanker, because I always had an affinity to shorting, because I liked the idea of being able to make money when most people aren't. So the oil tanker, he described it as can't make a right angle. So nothing's going to go straight up, turn right, and then make another right angle down. It actually has to be a big U, right? So as the oil tanker is turning, the ass of the oil tanker actually is going to be going up still. Even though some of what you're looking at is going down, the oil tanker's butt's still going up. You got to wait for it to actually make the turn, then start heading to the other direction. And that's what we got from last week. We had the oil tanker turning, and whether or not it was going to make the full turn was the question. And when did it make the full turn? UVXY told you the full turn was in place. So UVXY finally went green. I think you guys were with me when I was buying it yesterday, right off the lows. And if it wasn't going to rally to yesterday, it was never going to rally. So, but more importantly, the UVXY trade was the indication that we needed, that we were going to have some momentum to the downside, and we got it. Fast forward to what today was. I came in short the Qs because there was no reason to cover yesterday. And I thought if they rally, they're going to have to break 570, which was a big price on the way down. And again, those generational lows, as we were calling them, was the 570, 550. You had a double bottom there, and then you had the 572.50, and then you had the 571.85. And then we had this area, which now I'm not even using multiple time frame VWAP. All you're looking at is the blue line. That's the day. That's the day's VWAP. I just want to show you how you could do this stuff just based on prior price. So what meant something on the way up will mean something on the way down. And generally, the staying is staircase up, open elevator shaft down. And we've just been waiting for them to open up the elevator shaft. And they did it yesterday, right? So you usually get, and again, all we do here is work in probabilities. So you usually get 3 down days. I look at the whole week, last week, as 1 down day. Yesterday was 2, and today was the 3rd day. It might be over, and I'm not short the Qs right now because they rallied enough to get me out. We were long the 565 puts at 98 cents. Sold a lot at $2 because when I double my money, I sell at least half, because then I have a free trade. You hear what I'm saying? If I buy something at 98 cents and I could sell for 205, I could sell 50%, and now the whole trade could go to 0, and I've still locked into a small gain. And in this case, it turned into a monster gain, because and let me show you the contracts we were trading, was the 565s, because what I do is I don't speculate, right? I believed the market was going to follow through today, but I still needed to prove it to me by breaking prior day lows, something we haven't seen too often. So once we broke the prior day low, and it really wasn't, that difficult of an idea, here they are. So these are the 565s. I wish I held them from last night. Well, I don't do that, but I don't trade options. I trade options for the day. So here's the 565s. on the chart themselves, right? So this is the beginning of the day. So there's the low. There's the VWAP. We call it the jiggle and the shuffle. And then there's the break. So you kind of got like a faux show bro going there. So right here, right, as it broke over the VWAP, there's the 98. There's where I bought a few. And then it rallied. And then it chopped. And then it broke. And then I bought more at 131 as it broke the high of the day. So when it got to $2 right in here, I'm selling. I sold 40% of what I have to lock it in. Now, go back to the chart. And again, this is the 565 put. Let's go back to the QQQ chart itself. And as I was explaining yesterday, why would you get out of this trade that you waited 3 months for this move? Why would you get out in the first moment where it starts to work? You wouldn't. You get out of some. But when we finally broke 575.50, we finally broke 572.50, we finally broke the 570, and we got down to the 10-day VWAP. So then all I'm looking for today is, can the market follow through to the downside? And in order for that to happen, you have to break prior day low and overnight low. So you were breaking overnight low, right? So here's your overnight session, because the market never really closes anymore. This is the QQQ overnight, right? So the overnight session. Here's the crossover to basically, 1 o'clock in the morning. So these levels where we held in the overnight is going to be our new trigger if momentum is going to kick in to the downside, which I believe was going to happen. So there you go. That's how you become a good trader. You have what you think is going to happen, and then you say to yourself, I don't know shit. Nobody knows. I got an idea. I think I know. But I'm going to sit and wait till the market says, Kenny, you're right this time. And then I'm going to do something about it. And that's how you trade. That's why I don't speculate. And that's why the only speculation I've done so far was selling out of my Palantir. Thank you very much. 185. And I went on the Dennis Dick show, Joe Elkanan, and I told anybody that was willing to listen, please sell your Palantir because we've won. We won. 50 got us 80, 80 got us 120, 120 got us 150, 150 got us 180. I still think the stock will go to 250 inevitably, but that's 2 years from now. But I also think if there's going to be a momentum shift and seasonality is going to kick in, what stocks are going to go down leading the charge? Carvana, Palantir, CoreWeave, right? Momentum on the way up. When that momentum gets met on the way down, either you short those particular stocks, or if you're afraid to short Carvana, Palantir, or CoreWeave, go short the Qs, because if the main tech momentum stocks are running out of steam, the Qs are going to follow. So that's your thought process, right? So you've got this idea, but still, the reason I'm doing this now still is I have no choice. I need the market to confirm what I believe is going to happen, because I know I'm wrong a lot. As a bear especially, I'm wrong most of the time, because I don't know if you're bearish like me. I think the market's going to crash every single day. Watch the news for 5 minutes and you think that's going to I'm that guy. I'm a pessimist. I think world events are going to translate into market moving events, and they don't. They don't anymore. Nothing really triggers selling unless selling triggers selling. So that's what I was sitting here today. Will there be more selling? Well, I woke up and I'm like, wow, I thought the market would be gapped down after all that nervousness yesterday. I thought they'd gap the market up, down. I thought we'd be at 565 when I woke up on the Qs, but we weren't. I was pleasantly surprised, because now I got a chance to short with discipline and risk reward. And what is that discipline and risk reward? Well, the market attempted to rally for about a minute, and then it broke VWAP, and then it starts to roll over. I didn't even get short. Remember, I got in a little bit late because it made the move, and then it bounced. That's where you get, oh, look at the cues. Usually we see the faux show VWAP breakout and we rip and we never stop going up. Something's changed. And something's changed to the point where that's what I thought was going to happen. So now something is happening, Blanche, that I thought was going to happen. I'm getting validation and confirmation of my idea. Now I have to put the trade on, because if you're not going to take a trade that you thought was going to happen, now being confirmed by the market, when are you going to trade? The answer should be never. Because if you're not taking the trade that you thought was going to happen, being confirmed by the market, then you shouldn't trade. And I mean it, ever. Because why are you doing it? Right? And I use this example a lot, not like Warren Buffett's calling me, but if Warren Buffett said, Kenny, I like you. I got an idea. I want you to buy this stock. You know what I would say to Warren Buffett? I'm going to wait to see what happens tomorrow when it breaks VWAP. But Kenny, I just told you the stock's going to go up 20% in the next 3 weeks. I get you, Warren. I feel you. I heard you know what you're doing. I'm going to wait to see if it breaks VWAP tomorrow, and then I'll buy it. And that's where I'm at right now. I'm not debating with the market any longer. So when momentum kicked in and everything that I've been talking about for 3 months shows up on the chart, then you got the validation of a reason to be short, and then you broke, oh my God, prior day lows. Finally. So even if you thought you missed something, when it broke 566, prior day low, you had to short the market and you had to think, hey, we're now going to follow through to that downside. And that's when you start looking at the longer time frame charts, which was the monthlies, right? But I like looking at inside. So I go to intraday. I'll look at 20 days worth of data, because 20 days grabs the last sell-off that we had. I put it on a half an hour, or 20-minute candles is pretty good. So you get to see the whole thing. So there's the last sell-off. And that sell-off, why was that sell-off bullshit? Because that sell-off was based on bullshit economic data. Real sell-offs don't happen on economic data. Real sell-offs happen when nobody's saying anything about them. Hey, why are we going down? Because we are. Those are the real sell-offs. When we're just going down. I don't sell short beige book, PPI, CPI. It's insignificant to me. And obviously, and you had an earnings reversal on that Friday too, but most of that sell-off on that Friday was a gap down from the Thursday weakness that we saw. Apple had rolled over and you had a nice earnings reversal on that. And then that became a new bull market. So now what I thought was froth, my opinion was that we're going to give it all back. When the market sells off, it generally gives back a big chunk in the first couple of days. So if day one was yesterday or day 1.5, I'm thinking today's day 2, we're going to get jiggy. And then you go back to see the pivot points. So my targets on the way down, even though I was short at 566 getting aggressive, I still cover some as it gets to these prices. But when it broke, I was like, now we got something, because there's nothing underneath here until this double bottom, which was 559.65, where we covered some. But then we broke that, and I'm thinking, hey, we might be looking for that 558. And look where we went. We went to 558.84. Now, around that price, we saw a battle, right? Pat Battle. You guys remember Pat Battle? So here, as some of my friends were talking about catching the falling knife, I'm like, now, if you're thinking about scalping a long trade, now's your chance, because you got a double bottom, triple bottom, right? You still don't know it's going to hold, but then it starts to go up. Buy it. So we started covering the shorts, and then I got stopped out at 560, and then I got stopped out of the rest of my short at 562.50. Done, right? But the long trader who wasn't short this whole time, someone who was just looking to pick a bottom, you don't pick a bottom. You let the market pick the bottom, then you join in. So when the market picked its bottom, 558.84, I'm not thinking that's going to be the bottom, but then it triple bottoms there. I'm like, well, that's something.
Oh, look, the market's starting to go up. Maybe I should cover some. And then the long trader says, hey, if the shorts are going to start covering, maybe I get long. So now you got your fake out, shake out. And then when you got back above that level, was it too late to buy? You're talking about a $570 item here. You think you missed the trade because it went up 80 cents? Get involved. Because how often do you see VWAP retracements? It goes back to the VWAP, right? So in this move right here, you got to just re-identify the risk and put that long trade on, especially if you didn't partake in the downside. And this is why volatility is your friend. Nobody should be afraid of down markets because, first of all, if you guys remember what happened on April 9th, we had a 12% move off lows on the Trump candle. You're not going to see that too often, but it's a very rare market where, especially in this environment where we're still in a bull market, right? Nothing's changed, right? You understand that, right? So you have to assume that there's going to be some short covering, guys like me who are shorting that are, finally making money on the downside. How do we make our money? We're inevitably going to have to cover. It's not going to zero, right? So at 560, 562.50 get you 560. 560, I was hoping for 558, 557.50. But then it turned. And then you readjust. 560, one stop, 562.50, second stop. And then what's nice about the way Thinkorswim does it for you, if you're in the 565s, you don't have to watch the stock and then react to the option. You could just trade the option itself. And again, selling at $2.10 wasn't that great, but I sold some at 3, I sold some at 4, I sold some at 5, got stopped out, right here. My last stop was going to be the 285 because I used stops at the pivots, right? But when it hits 6, I'm selling. So then on the way down at 5, I'm done. I still held the stock, but when you're trading options, you got to be a little bit more quick because you're trading options that are going to expire at the end of the day. And now this trade is all but done. I mean, our entry price was 98 and 133, selling them at 2, 3, 4, 5, and then 5 on the way down. So just an incredible morning. And if you are sticking to the trade, and I know this one again, if you are paying attention, actually, let me try to get the chat window open. Hold on a second. I didn't go big. I was planning on going stupid big, but if you notice, I'm not even home. Yeah, I'm in the Super 8 in Des Moines. Yeah, that's where I'm at right now. Yeah. I made a series of dumb choices, actually, because I was hoping to, well, I'm not going to tell you my life, but I got something to do tonight, but I was hoping to do, I was just on the idea that I was, well, I won't tell you. It doesn't matter. Bottom line, if you guys were with me yesterday, while the market was selling off, right, what trade were we in long? Viking. And it was fantastic, right? We had the VWAP break. We had the wonderful multi-day VWAP break. And the stock, you learned a lot about just bucking the trend. What stock, I'll give you one guess, and the first person to guess gets a $10 iTunes gift card. You ready? Wait, hang on. I think I'm getting stopped out of the rest of my cues right now. 1 second. 1 second. Goddamn. What's going on? Oh, no, I'm still in. I mean, by the way, if we go green today, I'm going to be a little freaked out. If we go green today, I mean, at this point, is anybody going to be surprised if the sell-off is over, right? How many times does it look like we're going to get really, oh, this is going to get scary to the downside, and next thing you know, we're green? I'd be a little freaked out if we can't even stay red just 2 days in a row. Just unbelievable. Palantir, love it. So for a $10 gift card, right? $10 gift card for the first person, what stock during this sell-off today were we long? Go. First person to answer gets a $10 gift card at the Schmooze. And I'm not kidding. I'll give you a $10 gift card. I still have is iTunes even a thing? I don't even know. I got like a stack of iTunes cards because nobody knows what to get kids for birthday presents. So we'd all just exchange gift cards. I got a stack of them. Oh, good guess. I wasn't in it, but that is a great guess. Come on. You're right there. There you go. $10 gift card to Produce Chips. There you go. All right. So I'll see you tomorrow at the Schmooze. Send me your home address if that doesn't make you nervous. And I will send you a $10 iTunes gift card for you and your loved ones. Yes, the answer was Target. Hell yeah. Right? So this piece of garbage that nobody likes, I came in this morning, I'm like, all right, it's a weak tape. Nobody likes this stock. Chances are it's not going to work. That's exactly what I said. And then I put in a big but. But if it Faux bros and breaks over VWAP, I'm going to have to buy it. And that's how you were a good trader. I didn't have any expectations for this stock. But while the market's tanking, I got me a Faux bro VWAP break. There's a fake out. There's the shakeout back above the VWAP at $95. I got to buy it because even if I'm wrong, remember the Faux bro, if you're buying the 95, the fake out and the shakeout candles are your outs. So if you're in at 95, your first stop's there, your second stop's there. Voila. You are now a professional, pseudo-professional trader. You're limiting your risk. And again, these trades, inevitably, one of these is not going to work. But right now, you're on to the 1,079th in a row. And I'm telling you, and I'm trying to be as brutally honest, I didn't think this trade had any chance of working. In the back of my brain, I'm thinking this thing's going to 92.50, 90, and then 0. Everybody hates Target. Oh, wait, it's breaking VWAP and it's doing the Faux bro. I guess I got to buy it. And that's the whole process of trading. I went from not liking the idea to thinking it was going to go down more to buying it. And $95 entry with my 2 stops. And if you're buying something at 95, now for the follow bonus up question. If you're buying a $95 stock that just reported earnings and you're starting to get momentum to the upside, what price do you think should be one of your targets? Don't say 95.50 and don't say 96. Those are implied. What do you think? You're buying a $95 stock. You're buying a $95 stock. What should you expect to make? Or hope to make, at least. I'm giving you a hint. I guess you don't know sign language. Yes, 250. And look where this bad boy got, 97.50, because 95 gets you 97.50. You know why that stuff still works? Because the option market makers control the world. When I was a specialist back in the day, not specialist, option principal, had to take a test, the whole thing. Trades still 30 years later still act with these big numbers because that's where the option traders used to have their options. There wasn't any half-point increments. There weren't any dollar increments. There was a $95 stock. You'd have a 95, a 97.50, and then 100. Or sometimes you just have a 95 and 100. And that stuff still plays out. So if a stock's got some momentum and you're breaking through the 96, you got to expect you're going to get to the 97.50, and voila, 97.50. And then on the way down, obviously, we got stopped out of the rest. tight stops. But look at this. So now, right, if you're, again, when you miss the move, right, and the VWAP says, hey, buddy, I'll give you one more chance. I'm going to hold VWAP and I'm going to start rallying. What are you going to do about it? I'm going to buy it. Right? So when it gets down to the VWAP, double bottoms at VWAP and starts to rally, buy it. Right? Give it a shot, because now you got like a mini faux show, bro. It held VWAP from on top. That's bullish. That's a test of VWAP from on top. If it breaks the low, if it breaks through the VWAP and then test it from underneath, that's a confirmation of that stock's going to go lower. But in this case, hits the VWAP, bounces. Now you buy it at 96 and a quarter. And now you've got a trade where you're only risking a quarter, because if it rolls there, you immediately get out because you got the VWAP break and you've got that range break also. So pretty damn good trade today on target. I didn't do the second one, but first one was awesome. And let me just check my cues. I mean, it's just so sick. It's just so sick. It's sick. If you told me there was going to be a 7-point bounce, I wouldn't have believed it. But you got a faux show, bro, VWAP break on the cues, right? And this is just like the target trade. So maybe you missed the wonderful short, you missed the long, and you said, all right, give me something to do. Okay, if you're patient enough, I'll give you something to do. How about a faux show VWAP bro? The reason this trade is so awesome is that it tends to replicate 3 times on every trade, on every stock, almost every day. So if you're struggling, just wait for a faux show, bro, VWAP break and trade it. And when they don't work, and again, this is another reason, this is another way to, the good traders separate themselves from. By the way, if the cues go green today, I'm seriously, I'm gonna be freaked out. Are we ever gonna stay down? Ever? I mean, it's crazy. At this point, you got to start thinking we might be going green today. It's insane, but it is what it is. I'm not short anymore because I got forced out. I got forced out at 62.50 and just now I'm out. I didn't think I'd be covered in my shorts today. Shit. I mean, I did at 560 and 562. I didn't think we'd get it up to 565, but here we are breaking. All right. So anyway, all this stuff that we talk about on a daily basis, right? It's great. It's great content. But if you're not doing what I'm saying you're going to do, and this is why most traders make the mistake. You get the setup, faux show, bro. It breaks the VWAP and it starts to rally. And you're thinking, man, I love this trade. I love this bold guy. He's fantastic. And then the stock rolls over and starts to go down. And suddenly you forget the rule. Right? You're just so bent on, okay, I got my good entry. It's starting to work. You're making some money. Maybe you take some off the table. And then it rolls over, breaks the VWAP, and starts getting slammed through those 2 levels. And you say to yourself, I'm supposed to be doing something now, aren't I? Let's see what happens. In that moment, you'll just blow the whole trade. See, the reason that this trade works so well is that when it doesn't work, you get out for small losses. But you have to get out. That's the part that some people forget. And you become a little complacent. And then you have that moment where you just say, let's see what happens. That's a long trade. How bad can it get? And next thing you know, it rolls over 5 points and you give back your whole day. You don't want to do that. So listen, I'm working on a rudimentary setup here. I got one screen to work on. I got the chat room open. I got my charts. And I don't even have my proper layout. I only have today's VWAP. But let me just, I'll spend some time with you. Throw some symbols at me and I'll show you what's the story for today. Anytime you want. And by the way, I'm not joking around about the $10 gift card. If you're nervous about giving me a home address, then it is what it is. But if you want the $10 gift card, email me at kennyglick@aol.com and I will send it out when I get home. Nothing pleases me more than just give out these damn cards. I've been sitting in my drawer for 8 years or so. All right, what you got for me? Come on, spit them out. Rapid fire. Just me? TTD, which I've liked long ever since that catastrophe. Well, you know what? You've got, I mean, the better, obviously, the better setup was this last fake out, shakeout. But you're starting to see, right? You kind of had the fake out, shakeout there, but all you did was get to VWAP, got rejected. But you never actually broke down. You might have still been in that one. But really, the really nice one, right? Again, there's that VWAP. And then here's that new moment. Breaks a low, then it comes back, and then you're over the VWAP without breaking those Faux and shows. Fake out, shake out. And again, this looks like it was a bit, it would have been an entry of 51, let's call it 52. You're looking at 19 cents of risk, maybe a quarter of risk. It's a fantastic setup, right? Again, if you could risk a quarter to make $1, very nice. And this stock is as awful as it's been to own for the last, well, if you owned it after the catastrophe, all it's done has been going sideways. The buyers are down here, right? It hasn't been a bad stock to just day trade around, between the $50 and the 55. Inevitably, if it breaks the 50.21, you're going a lot lower. But stick with this idea, if it doesn't ever break the 50, this is now doing what? Now you're Andy Dufresne. Andy Dufresne, you break the low, you stay in the cesspool. Andy Dufresne, you break recent highs, you tend to run. This is definitely one you want to watch now for the next 3 months, or basically forever, because if it does ever come out of this bottoming formation, you're going to get another 12 or 15 points to the upside. And again, if it doesn't come out and breaks down, you got yourself a terrible looking stock right there. Now, CoreWeave has been my favorite trade, and I'm not even involved. This was my favorite short call, and I'm not even short. I love it because I was right about this stock being the poster child of momentum. Momentum on the way up. Now you got momentum on the way down. That's kind of why I was enthusiastic about shorting the Qs. CoreWeave, Palantir, and Carvana. But now that this stock, again, we had a really good time with it on the way up because it was a classic fake out, shake out, monster breakout, all-time high through 65. This was my main trade when it broke the all-time high, and I got out at 80. I made 15 points right there. I sold it. I don't know why I sold it all. I loving this trade. And then I watched it go up another 100 points. I traded in between there. But again, back to the old school, my friend Andy. Where do I anchor my VWAP to? I anchor it to the day. It's usually days. Or if I think something specific, and I love this trade, I like anchoring the VWAP to prior earnings. So earnings to earnings. So, Palantir, I think it was June 9th or something like that. I like to see what the VWAP is, but that's basically a 3-month VWAP. So what I have it programmed to do is through experimentation and just usage, right? I have found the best levels to standardize my anchoring, if that makes any sense. I just go back to I want to know yesterday's VWAP, 2 days worth, 5, and then I grab a next week, another week, and then I'm into monthlies, yearlies, and then even 3-year. One of my favorite charts is the 3-year weekly VWAP. It's where I found all these, $3 stocks coming out of the woodwork. That's where the Andy Dufresnes are great. Again, there's a few, classic examples. Well, I can't show you now because I don't have my charts, the right ones. But that's basically it. Now let me scroll back and show you some of those charts you were looking at. MSOS. Oh, no, weed. Oh, my God, no. As much as I smoke weed, these are the worst stocks on the planet. We're never going to do what Trump says. there's too many people that don't want to decriminalize the marijuana fully. I think this pop is going to be sold into inevitably all these things are going down. But MSOS, MJ is the one where I think you're going to be able to get some decent money on the short, the inevitable short. And, I haven't really traded them much, but I don't like these stocks because they've been so dead. They already got the squeeze. I don't think they're changing the laws. And even if they do change the laws, it's really not going to help these stocks. The idea that if they legalize it, that everyone's going to start smoking some more weed. No, the people that want to smoke weed are going to smoke. The people that, oh my God, weed's legal. Let me try that. Like, are you going to try heroin if they made it legal? No. I hope not, because you can't really do a little bit of heroin. All right. Ooh, V-Wave. That thing came back to life yesterday. What's it doing today? Wow, hanging in there. This stock is very interesting because when they don't want to die, they remain a buy. And this bad boy just came out of the Andy Dufresne yesterday, and it was a shocker because it was doing fantastic things while the market was tanking. And again, bucking the trend. You had a wonderful uptrend all day. The late day was a midday VWAP break and then rally into the close. You just actually got a VWAP break on it here. I've been trading this thing. I like it. But again, if you don't know what V-Wave is, it's tied to, I forget what this thing is all about. I won't even comment. I don't even know what it is. I forget what this was about. This is not one of the Bitcoin ones, right? This is another company that told everybody that they have some sort of Bitcoin treasury, right? The MicroStrategy thing. I'm starting to lose track of which stocks are which nowadays. But now Lulu, big fan, right? Hang on a second. So Lulu today, as a matter of fact, thumbs up, right? You got the faux show at the bottom, but you see how that faux show right there, it breaks a new low. Usually you want to see the second candle lower than this one, but you kind of got that moment right there, a little chopperooski. And then, when you jiggle and you shuffle around the blue line and then you break over the jiggle and the shuffle range, that's your buy. So you're a buyer here. VWAP as one of your stops, and usually I'll use the low candle as a second, and not a bad entry right there. Now Palantir, that was it was basically the QQQ. So as the Qs were moving, I don't know what's leading what, but you guys know I'm a huge fan of Palantir, and at 142.34, I was not rooting for it to bounce, nor did I want it to bounce. I want this thing to get slammed to 120, so then I could put my kids' money back into this thing with some size. But as a day trader, you're just looking for what? A reason to buy with limited risk. And 150 got you 147.50. 147.50 got you 145. 145 got you what? 142.50. So then when it broke 142.50, you're not thinking it's about to bounce. You're thinking 140. But the market started to turn. Palantir is the market. And fake out, shake out, and then it starts to rally back above where it broke down from. And, I was suggesting maybe people buy it at 144.25 now that you're only risking the 2 points. But here's where that magic faux show bro VWAP break comes into play. Maybe you were too nervous to buy it down here. And then you say, oh man, it rallied without me. It did. But what did it do? It gave you another chance. Hey, buddy. You haven't missed anything. How about a faux show, bro, right at the VWAP? I love that trade. So do you. I love that trade, right? Fake out, shake out, back above the VWAP. So, and again, here's another discussion. And, a lot of what we do at my website is talk about the mistakes that people make most of the time. It's kind of what my podcast is about also. Please watch it. It's called The Trader's Edge with Don Corleone, Chris. What traders do most of the time, and again, I am most of those time, and I am that trader. Any mistake that's was ever made, I've made them because I've been doing this long enough. We've made them all. That's if you survive making all the mistakes, that's what makes you a better trader. Most people don't survive, right? Most traders look at this and if they're buying a stock here at 148, they're thinking they're risking 6 points because that was the low of the day. You're not going to let the stock drop 6 points with you still in it. You reestablish new risk, especially if there's a VWAP there. And especially if you've got the fake out, shakeout pattern around the VWAP. So if you're buying 148 and let's say you're buying the break, so let's call it 148.50. Your real risk is the 147.20 and the 147. You're not risking that, but that's where the mistake comes into play. Remember, just like the other mistake that people make, they buy the fake out, shake out, they're making money, and then it starts to roll over. Let's assume it rolled over here, and then you forget that you were supposed to sell if it broke those levels because you took some profit, and then you said, all right, let's see what happens, and then it gets a lot worse. And then suddenly you do lose the 6 points that you thought you were going to lose, and you blow a good trade. So here, I'm going to give you this commentary, and if I'm right, so far I'm right about everything, which is scary. So what I thought was going to happen today, we got it. 566 got us 560. That was what I was hoping for, 6 points. Once it broke 560, I was thinking 557.50. And then I started entertaining the thought that we might give it all back today, which would be going back to last Friday's lows, right? That's the 551.68. It crept into my mind. There was no bid. Everything was getting hammered, right? But we turned, and I wound up getting stopped out. So what I was saying is I don't mind if it gets stopped out today because what I think is going to happen, and so far I'm right about everything, what I think is going to happen is that we're going to stop out the shorts today. Boom. That's done. And then we're going to consolidate tomorrow, chop around, make everybody think that there's no more selling left, and we're just going to resume the course back up. And then on Friday, we catch everybody off guard and we start to sell off again. And that's when it'll get nasty because anybody that hasn't sold out yet that's debating, they'll sell out if we roll over again on Friday after a consolidation Thursday, because that would be very disappointing for the bulls, not disappointing for me because I'm expecting that to happen. So once again, expectations, so far, everything I thought was happening is happening. If we go green today, it kind of nulls that. I don't want to see it go green today. I want to see green tomorrow, a little complacency, and then we're going to shove it down their throats again on Friday and retest the lows from today on Friday. And if they don't hold on Friday, we'll have what we call the no bid close. And UVXY will be screaming and everybody will be running for the exits. And everybody will be saying, I knew it. I told you this was a bubble. What was I thinking? Oh, and everything will go down. And we actually might sell off another 20 points on the Qs. And then right then, when some service company, when you get an email about how to prepare for the oncoming bear market from Jim Rickards, you start buying stocks because anything that guy says, you just do the opposite and you'll make money. And it's one of the greatest indicators. It's called the Jim Rickards indicator. If you guys know, whatever he says, you just do the opposite and you make money. It's awesome. It's awesome. So I don't know if you know who the guy is, but you probably do. When you get an email from him about how the market's about to implode, especially after it's already sold off, you know we're onto something for the turn to the upside. So I'm waiting. Again, we're nowhere near the Jim Rickards indicator or the Rappaport indicator for that matter, which is if my uncle decides to buy stocks ever again because he's crashed the market 3 different times. All right, enough of that dumb conversation. So where are we now? Let me see. I think I lost the chat room. Here you are, 232. Scrolling back. Anchor VWAP, 630. I'm grabbing all the data, and now it's 24/7. So my anchored VWAP is just grabbing just more time. Yeah, I'll go back and grab everything. I grab the pre-market, the aftermarket, every tick. Every tick is factored in. Pen W, Stock Bible God, thank you very much. Pseudo Pros, Target, you win the prize. Yeah, let's look at some other ones. I think you guys were trading ZIM. Whoa. You guys are still long this stock. Wow. Wonderful. Faux show, bro. Well, there you go. Now, does this qualify to me put on the streak? It does. Now that's 1,080 in a row for profitability based on the Faux show, bro, VWAP break on an earnings report. It's incredible. And again, it's not a monster trade, but again, if you just take this trade and avoid everything else, you really should come out ahead considering it works every time. When I say every time, we haven't had a loss. Here it is. Like, I don't know if you guys know what ZIM is. I had some fun with this stock coming at it. And by the way, this is one of the Andy Dufresne's from about 1.5 years ago. Want to see something cool? Stretch it out a little bit more. Yeah, it seemed like, I remember it being down there a little bit longer. It was actually pretty good, but still, we had this channeling down there. We had some fun when it came out. I was expecting the stock to do a little bit better. But fast forward to today, why are you looking at it? Because they reported earnings. It was down. There's the Faux show. There's the VWAP break. And you got paid. This is actually still a buy because you haven't gone green yet. So generally, fake out, shake out, breakout. You got the fake out, you got the shake out. You're looking for the stock to go basically green in a down market. That's interesting. And again, this line right there is your closest stop, and then the second stop's basically the 15. So if you're still in it, I'd still stay in that one. What else we got? War pigs with cake like I'm going the distance cake. They did war pigs. Cool. Professor Booty. Wait a second. How did I miss all these things? I think it's Booty. Oh, I'm going to go play that song now. Hey, Professor, what's another name for Pirate's Treasure? That's awesome. By the way, have you seen the Beastie Boys documentary? Amazing. All right. Well, that's all I got for today. I'm going to cut it off a little bit shorter, but phenomenal. If I'm not hungover, because I'm partying, I'm going out tonight with one of my oldest best friends. Sometimes things get out of hand, but I should be around by tomorrow night. And if this market stabilizes but doesn't go green today, if everything I think is going to happen does happen, we'll address it. We got to talk more about it tomorrow night. And if you don't know, if you're just meeting me, we do a Thursday night show. We get together and just crunch some charts, look for some action for the Friday expiration. But now every day's option expiration on some trades. All right. Nice hanging out. Good luck. And I think I'm going to stay flat for the rest of the day because I don't think I'm going to find a better trade that I did from this morning. I'm cool with that. And I'm just going to see how this all plays out. And then we'll attack tomorrow. And then if I'm right about tomorrow's complacent bullishness day, I think it's going to be a setup. And then we roll over and crush them. All right. Thanks for stopping in. I'll see you guys soon.
Farewell.
The schmooze? No, it's on my private. I have a secret lair. You got to email me. KennyGlick@AOL.com. Yes, you can laugh. AOL.com. That's why I keep it. KennyGlick@AOL.com. I'll send you the link and a secret password. And usually I play a dead show from this day in history. And then we come on around 8 o'clock. You know who I think I'm going to get on? I'm going to get Jeff Hirsch come on. And we'll talk seasonality and Trader's Almanac and all that stuff. And I got to give you your gift card. All right?